Hello, I'm Walter Schumann and happy Sabbath to all. Well, I'm here with the idea, as many of my friends have asked, if I may start having series of live streams or videos to where I talk about Bach. So here I will present all in a manner of a practice because I do love to practice Bach. And most of all, I use this. Probably most of you have different editions. The one that I have is a urtext that was held by Joe Janesco and his very faithful and lifelong assistant, Serge Blanc. Both of them were living in the 20th century, as well as they were professors at the Paris, France Conservatory of Music, one of the top institutions of performing arts. However, today I'm going to talk about the first sonata by Johann Sebastian Bach. This is the edition, and you may probably see a significant amount of fingering, bowing, suggestions which were found by Joe Janesco, who was a great follower of Bach, and he was a keeper to some of the original copies written by Bach of Bach music. So this is the educational edition collected by Serge Blanc, his assistant. So here, I mean, it says 6 sonatas and partitas. In reality, this is not completely accurate. This actually is 3 sonatas and 3 partitas. So please don't get me wrong, but in real life, Bach wrote only 3 sonatas for violin and 3 partitas for violin solo, which were dedicated to his wife post-mortem, and he wrote all of them after having the grief of the loss of his wife and a few of his children. However, here we are going to continue with the preface about the Adagio, which also it's called Prelude. And this is another moment here that most of the musicians consider the first sonata part, Adagio, as a G minor. Let's just be honest, it sounds in G minor, but in reality, it's just in G. Why? Because in the original text, in the original text, we see we may see some additions with 2 flats at the beginning of the measure times here, right? But here in the original text, Bach wrote only 1 flat, and this points to another modal, we call a modal natural mode in music. So let's see what Joe Janesco had to say about this specific music. His constant revisiting of the sonatas and partitas by Johann Sebastian Bach throughout his life as a musician, composer, performer, teacher, thus underwent the lasting effect of this imagery, and every valuable piece of this monument to the human spirit evoked for him a precise poetic vision that deeply marked his personal interpretation and therefore his teaching. Here Serge Blanc talks about his teacher, Joe Janesco. I could not forget the particular effect that marked his face and his musical demonstration at the piano when he wanted to communicate a particular interpretation. That of the first opening Adagio, which we're going about. Such a majestic cathedral gave this fabulous treasure of a human mind that are the sonatas and partitas that follow was particularly striking. Every time I happen to pass by the majestic Notre Dame de Paris, the same emotion seizes me by the throat and seizes me by the throat, and I interpret this sacred work or rigid. Technically speaking, this means the search for a wide and beautiful sound. So that's the requirement Giogenesco looked for in a Bach, taken from Bach's notes, personal correspondence, and letters about his music. So what Bach was looking for practically was a wide and beautiful sound made possible by the use of a great bow length and the observation of Ionesco's indication in the direction. I honestly think that this evocative power left a particular mark above all on the personality of Giogenesco, and that his students loved to submerge themselves in it. They felt that their artistic life will be influenced and enriched in a profound way. We only had to let ourselves be carried along by the unforgettable memory, and then carry out the years of work that we would have to fulfill in order to approach as close as possible that level. Regarding this work, no one must above all follow with great precision the rhythmic contorus so clearly expressed by the hand of this the my God, who was its author. So reminding this first work, one must above all follow with great precision the rhythmic contorus. It is commonly known as is written improvisation. So you have to follow some certain level of rhythm, but this rhythm is under the law of the improvisation, of the freedom at the time. And it is, but that of J.S. Bach, and not just any performer who dares to take it up. If we carefully observe the details of its rhythm, precise to 128 notes, we must recognize that we have no more right to change a note value than to change a detail of much admired Rembrandt or Michelangelo. But a musical work must also undergo the special handling of each performer, as it cannot stay in a manuscript form. This is where the personality, more or less cultivated and respectfully intelligent of each artist could dare to approach or intervene. We must therefore start by trying to understand every detail conveyed by the author and not spare any time or trouble in finding the exact phrase. This requires a lifetime, but what enrichment for the one who glimpses the infinite beauty. A remarkable way of expression, isn't it? A remarkable. So let's go to the sonata. It's interesting fact that Adagio, it says 8 note equal to 40, which is mean word note equal to 18. So Bach spent most of his life in a church. Here we see that the openings in the chord is like an opening gate of a church. So this is a practice, this is not a concert, please. So here is the opening, and the opening is practically this beginning chord in G minor. And that's probably why most of the musicians and the soloist performers think it's in G minor. Well, ignore the fact it's G minor, but follow the idea of modality. So what do I mean by that is we have the upper melody in an chord of 4 notes, but the fourth of the top is a melody. The bottom tone as well is a melody. I can prove that. So we are going with the top. So from top, it goes in the middle. Here we go from the very bottom tone. We're going to start with the bottom tone. And then there is something that goes on. And you see? And then we go back to... This is the basic of a contemporary harmony rule. You know, we have tonic, subdominant, second, subdominant, dominant, tonic. It's practically, that's what it is. Bach didn't think in this way. However, the system of Istituzione di Harmonice was already discovered by an Italian composer at the time. So Bach was very well aware of the system. Counterpoint or the counterpoint art is practically the beginning and the origin of music in this form. And Bach was one of the greatest masters of it. So, here is getting a little bit tougher, because instead of having a fifth interval of perfect fifth, we have fourth. So it's an interesting secretive moment here that Bach uses so-called Axel tone. The Axel tone is a one tone that practically keeps the whole phrase in one homogeneous structure. So where is the Axel tone here? Can you hear this tone? And if you just take this, only this moment here, you know, what do? You know, hello, I'm very happy to see you. So if you see this tone, it is the same beginning of his next movement. Exactly. Hey, Molly. So here is a tricky moment. So Axel tone in Bach is mean that we have one tone that goes all the way through, but keeps hello, but keeps the structure of the whole lineage. And so here we have this. that's actually the Axel tone. George Enescu goes all the way up. This is his recommendation for fingering, by the way, which is very unusual, but he says that he took those from the original urtext by Bach. So we believe that probably he did that. So very important is where the bass goes and where the melody goes. From the very beginning, as I mentioned, the melody, the top melody goes in the middle part, in the middle side of the structure. So let me show you again. And it goes where? Here. It leads to B, right? To the B flat. So this is the melody, and this melody goes from the top to the middle part, then goes somewhere in the middle, second section, and there is the bass that comes where? Something comes, ta-da, and this is this. You see, those are two projections of two different melodies comes together. And also the tone, the middle tone, went where? On top this time, and then goes as a solutional tone to, you know, then you see, those are practically the lower tone, the bass, and the top, middle, you know, the middle voice that go over the tone, and the top comes down. And all together creates this beautiful structure. Let's do the structure again. are going to the middle part. We call it the fourth step part. It's a subdominant which predicts the ending. So here Bach creates so-called a mirror counterpoint, which means that all of the voices goes to the opposite sides, like in a mirror state. They can reflect in a reflectory way. So that's what is happening in here. Also, another specific in here, and another specific is that Bach, when you do the trills, how to perform the trills, Bach had a specific, Bach music have a specific system of how to play the trills. So when the melody descends, the trill will come from above. When the melody descends, then trill will come from bottom to, from underneath. What do I mean? Let me put a little light because it's getting darker. So that's me. So what's the point is here? What I'm trying to say. So we are seeing lots of trills, So we have this trill, from where this trill will start. From here or from above. How? Since it's a unison, they start from the same tone, it's going to be directly from C. And then we go all the way and happen to get to this place. Can you hear this? So when the melody comes from above, descends, so the trill will come from above, not from the bottom. That's incorrect. Why? Bach requires the melody to never stop. Melody should be never ceasing, like never stop, never ceasing off, from the structure. Melody is everything. Why? Counterpoint art is actually many layers of melodies put together in a special amount of certainty. I mean, like a certain amount of intervals, distance, time, tempo, and they all create a structure. But all of the sounds, all of the tones, the notes in between, they are as equally important as the every other. So that's why. Here, many of the musicians does the mistake, No. Yes. No. Yes. So I want you to get the right principle that Bach requested. This is Bach's request, not mine, not anyone's addition or editor. So that's very important. So there is this other place. Most of the young, unexperienced musicians, they will do that, No, never do that. And leads to the strict form of, projection in perfect octaves, you see? for instance, this you see, there are interpreters that will cut off the top and the bottom tone, so they can keep with the melody. You know, here, and then we have A, this tone. So what they do? Please don't do that. That's wrong. So make sure you keep the upper tone as long as you can. I know sometimes can be a little bit challenging, but it's challenging for me too. That's why I'm practicing. This is a practicing session, right? So here, guys, make sure that you take the lower tone and the very top is a melody. That's this A flat, it's actually the Axel tone, right? Keep that. This is a whole chord. You see? Keep the tone. Don't even move your finger. You don't need to. That's important. Why? Because our lower tone, the lowest tone was D. Then we have then again. And from nowhere. So here it says that it should be like a crescendo all the way through and end up in fortissimo. I don't know, it might be. Do you recognize that now Bach made a mirror side? So if a mirror side of projection of the counterpoint means that if we go, if we have an interval that is, let's just say, a major 3 up, you know, and descending, tam pam. So the next time is going to be tam pam. So tam pam pam pam. So tam pam pam pam. That means a mirror projection. And here Bach does exact same thing. From this point, hello, Wonderzone. So this what is Bach doing, and he returns to what? He returns to the main theme at the very beginning almost, you know. So this fingering here is not acceptable, that I just did, so you don't do it. I strongly recommend you follow another type of fingering. George Enesco, this is additional study of George Enesco. because George Enescu was originally one of the people who wanted to, who actually kept original urtext by Bach. And to many of the letters, remarks, and the correspondence written by Bach, he was having the opportunity to watch and to look. So he was, yes, that's it's a part of a version, and this version is by additional edition, technical indications by George Enescu and Sage Blanc. And so here, what I'm trying to do is, so you may guys as well ask questions. I will try to answer. I'm not quite sure that I'm the best to, you know, to answer questions, but as much as I can, I will be very honored to give you some answers. So here, so the C minor, I would probably stay down on the first position here. Why? Because it's naturally the hand not to move into the second position. You see? So that's what I would do. In the edition George Enescu present is different. Here he goes to the second position, stays in the second, but do you see that the fifth are not exactly accurate as the one that I tried to put in the first position? So when the fifths are played sometimes with the third finger instead of the second finger in the second position, they are more accurate, more in tune. So have that in mind. But it's all about interpretation, how you see the music though. So he continues in the second position. Then, still not so comfortable. You see, you have to press too much. So I would do differently. Here. So because he has octaves that goes into fifth, then I would rather go down previously to that, you know. I will go first position right here, not later on. Why? My octaves that I was just saying about are going to be completely in tune. And my third, so my hand is positioned beforehand. That's what I wanted to point it out, you know. That is not so bad here. Yeah, I mean, George Enescu has a little bit more romanticized type of Bach interpretation, like a romantic. I'm not quite sure to what extent Bach should be played with so many glissandos, but we all know that Bach was interpreted with lots of sliding tones, you know, slurs, glissandos. Bach himself was an incredible violinist. So he's not only an organ player, he's been an amazing violin player, you know. really risk way of to play that, I would not suggest that. I mean, probably a better interpreter. So here it should be cut off. That's what he wrote. Actually, he put a line in between. If you see the line, can you see that it's like a diagonal line, like yeah. It's like how he cuts off the melodical part. So here you have to stay as long as you can do that. I mean, that's my personal opinion. Yeah, my approach to Bach is very much similar to those to Georgianescu, because one of my teachers was his student. So I have 3 teachers. The one was student to David Oistrakh and Leonid Kogan, and the other one was student to Georgianescu. And I had a teacher whose teacher was Karl Flesch from Germany. So, well, I think this was helpful. It's always interesting to find ideas to how to perform different things based on the historical evidences written by old school. You know, many young musicians. I'm also a young musician, though. Don't get me wrong, but many young musicians from the very, kind of this millennial generation, they tried to get rid of from all the whole entire old generation ideas. They even, I mean, I'm not supposed to say that, but I've been witnessing how young musicians who have kind of very famous, they become very famous among the YouTube. They're YouTubers, and they were literally laughing and mocking at the old generation violinists and musicians. And it was very sad to hear that they don't want to go back to see, because let's just be honest, Georgianescu lives at a time in the beginning of 1900s. He is practically contemporary to Clara Schumann. And my family ancestors come from Schumann's family and Bach's. So if you don't take something from these people at the time, the way they played the music, why? Because it's probably more authentic. We think we know better than them, but in reality, it might turn that we are not as better as we think in our generation. And that's why here Georgianescu specifically says that Bach requested, where was that? Technically speaking, the means to search for a whole and wide and beautiful sound, made possible by the use of a great bow length and the observation of all indications in this direction. This is what Bach wrote about this, and often we hear the complete opposite. We complete short sound, we complete something like with lots of accents, with lots of kind of stressed syllables in music. That's not what Bach wants. And Bach wants, technically speaking, Bach says, this means the search of a wide and beautiful sound, made possible by this use of a great bow length, and the observation of indication in this direction. So you have to observe yourself. An observation to what? To look for a great, wide, beautiful sound. Wide, not wide, wide, a broaden, big, you know. Hello, Fabrizio. You see? How can you achieve that? I honestly think, says Joe Genesco, I quoted his work, that this evocate power left a particular mark above all on the personality, and his students loved to submerge themselves into it. It's just it is all about this sound. Bach predicted, like, hello, Fabrizio. It's very kind of you to be here tonight. At least it's getting night at me. So, however, you see, when you go to the first part of this, you will see that Bach predicted his second part, which is the fugue, you know, or we call in German der Fuge. So when we go and come here, you know, just did. I pointed out the Axel tone. The Axel tone is on the opposite side. So when you go back, when you turn the page to fugue, what do you see? You see the same amount of tones in the mirror projection, a mirror counterpoint. Lots of people, I mean, I'm not criticizing here. Here is just observation, my personal observation. And lots of people don't put a lot of sound in the chords. Chords are very important because they are part of melodical structure. They are not only chords. The first chord, so this way chords, the top melody goes in the middle. The bottom goes up. And so you see the bottom tone of the chords is G, then, and then. So when we go in the middle part, we have the same. Then, I'm sorry. Yeah. So when you see the bottom part is, I would not do this. So all those are melodies. If we take out the rest and you play only the bass, you see what a beautiful melody is it, right? You know. is a beautiful melody. Then, so you go to the middle part. It's just beautiful. This is the middle tone of the chords that are following you up afterwards. See? And goes this way. But someone will say, oh, but there are 16 notes in a group. Yes, but the significance to stress the note as a melody is what Bach looks for. So-called the hopping chords. Interesting fact, lots of people, there's just a bump, bump, and there's a kind of squeak sound, and you trying to find out what exactly was the chord, right? Have you ever heard that thing? Yeah, exactly. So... keep this chord as long as you can. Yeah. Well, that's about Bach, though. I mean, that's the way I try to pursue practicing and pursue the idea of how to play Bach better. No? I don't know what's your personal opinion, but that's what I think. And here, by the way, I'm having something different. Not Bach this time. I'm working on this interesting piece. Have you ever worked on that? Reverie, Adagio for Violin by Henry Wiltemps. Have you ever tried that? It's with 3 flats. It's interesting. I'm trying to learn that for a concert, and it's a beautiful piece. Reverie. I don't know if someone have ever played this. I will be very happy to get some suggestions. Ideas though. So I'm practicing here. This is a practice session, so don't think it's a concert, please. Don't judge by that. So. If I am supposed to go, because it says the fourth string, which is mean G, but I'm not sure that I have to continue there or I have to change the string. Yeah. So there is no any indication, only just 4. interesting fact that it's E flat major. People say it's just 3 flats, but actually E flat major is one of the difficult, the most hardest major in the violin playing. So it's really makes your hand goes a little off balance the position. It's never the right position. Is you have to always stretch or kind of put your fingers together. It's very unusual, you know. Those are the fingers that the composer himself put it on, because Henry Van Taps was one of the greatest violinists in the past. His Franco-Belgian system. It's just great. So I tried to follow with every single step and remark Henry Van Taps put on. It's quite difficult though, because it stretches your hand in a very uncomfortable position. It's probably this. It's like a sort of figuration, but it's not completely written. What is it? Well, this is just a part of it. It's really beautiful. Okay guys, that's for the moment. Thank you for joining me, and please follow up with me. I am going to start regularly having a practice session and talking over Bach interpretation and different musical pieces that are very famous around the world. So I very much look forward to share and exchange with every one of you the best. I wish you a wonderful rest of the weekend and have a good fun. Bye now.